thinking this. You're texting her, phoning her, or in any other way, attempting to attract her towards yourself. Well, you just want to be on her mind. You want her to constantly think of you. But instead of getting closer, maybe she is slowly drifting away from me. It's frustrating, isn't it? What if the main idea of making her miss you is not to do more trying but less? This concept might sound very queer initially, but there is a grain of truth in it, and it is borrowed from the Stoic philosophy. One of the biggest weapons in relationships, often underestimated, is the ability to say nothing at all. It is not a game or a trick on how to make her fall in love. That is not the point. It is about providing space, being strong within, and helping her to respect herself. This is a moment that many people misunderstood as lack of concern or lack of interest, or even lack of proper thinking. When done with a purpose, not speaking is equally powerful category of nonverbal communication, as kids need to learn that sometimes it is okay to not talk. Stoicism helps to concentrate on what belongs to our sphere of influence, to ignore what is out of our control, and to nothing influences us or affects our emotions but something we encounter. By choosing to remain mute, you demonstrate that you are perfectly fine with yourself and do not need to put up a show. Such subtlety has a charm that is rather irresistible. And attracting others is not much of a problem here, because this does not make others feel that you need them. To quote the Roman philosopher Marcus Aurelius, we shouldn't waste any more time arguing about what a good man should be. Be one. It also means that instead of defending yourself with your words or actions, it's best if you just aim to be great. The moment you take your energy off her notice board and start working diligently on fixing yourself, enhancing your attributes, and leading a respectable life, that's when you become memorable and meaningful. Still, notions crumble, but the impression of a person who is well-to-do, well-sunk, sure, and self-reliant is imprinted exhausting. Thus, instead of elaborated further contacts at the beginning, let silence speak more of your power more often. It's not about not paying attention or not responding to her. It's about respecting yourself enough to allow the relationship to develop organically. If, however, you become a man worthy of her time, space, and attention and concentrate on fulfilling that role, she'll most likely notice and miss you in ways you could not even imagine. Top of this, creating silence makes her get an opportunity to think about you and the relationship. Think about it. With a few exceptions in their cases, when you are present most of the time, touching base frequently, and seeking to engage or reassure frequently or always, it can get to be the auditory version of a piercing alarm. However, when you analyze the situation and staying out of it, the noise is gone, and what you are left with is silence. What is missing from these analyses can't be ignored. She will start to think about where you are, what you are doing, and even begin to wonder why you are not around as much. This is when she starts to realize she misses you, or in other words, she develops fondness for you, not because you are forcing her to, or because you are texting like crazy, so she'll have to reply to something at least. No, silence doesn't entice, and it doesn't threaten. It just allows her to enjoy your company in a manner that she overlooked when you were constantly around. Stoicism shows us that we are in control. Freedom is that we have the facility to decide on how we should respond, given a situation or event. We often find ourselves going with the flow, or reacting spontaneously most of the time, when we are feeling pressured or angry or confused. Epictetus, the Stoic, could not have said it better. The things that happen to us are unimportant. What is important is what we do with the things that happen to us. Quietness is a way of making a decision to desist from speaking. It is equally helpful for a more careful response rather than an impulsive one, as well as for juggling general management duties. Being passive demonstrates that you actually possess a certain level of civility in you. You're not desperately waiting to receive constant messages or calls to boost your morale or to feel protected. You know that she is not the one who controls your worth as a human being. Your worth comes from deep inside of you. You respect your own self, and you know that changing a little girl won't make you a better person or satisfy your desire for recognition. This humble, self-effacing surety is, according to popular sense, properly sexy. This is not about avoiding her or punishing her. It's a sobering way of offering respect to both you and the relationship by letting it evolve. So there is nothing inauspicious what could be a truly sobering and deep truth told by the famous ancient philosopher Seneca. True happiness is not to have anxious dependence upon the future, but to enjoy the present. When you step back, it does not at all mean that you are harsh, and you do not care anymore, and all those things like that. This sends a clear message to her. You've got your self-worth, and you do not need anyone to validate your worth hust, because you've got your own self-worth. That way, your lack of words is more powerful than any words could ever be, and she will understand how important your company is to her. Some of the most meaningful things in life can be said and done in silence when applied with purpose. It is your power and self-respect. Instead of running after her, will be proving that you don't need her and are perfectly fine being alone. Then, this makes her understand that you are not fully engulfed in the relationship with her, and whenever you will interact, it will be special. It is always said that absence makes the heart grow fonder, and the freedom you give her means she will miss you and value your company in equal measure. That some silence burned into the relationship doesn't only help her. You feel the confidence and value as a person. The lovelier and the more harmoniously developed a man becomes, the more he is likely to dwell upon his own pleasure and welfare. And the best part, so much so, that by letting her be and withdrawing from her for a while, you are actually enriching this connection instead of overburdening and draining it. Stoicism as a philosophy makes a very distinct point that at times the most emphatic communication, perhaps the most explosive piece of speech you are ever likely to make, is the piece you choose not to utter. There is nothing wrong with choosing to say nothing when approached, because, at times, saying nothing is golden, especially when the pause is a reflection of growing, learning, embracing oneself, and respecting both yourself and the other person. So, it is also not about avoiding interaction or playing the game. It is simply about respect to one's character and to let the blossoming happen. In this case, they look at their happiness levels and avoid focusing on the other person, and thus confidence and stability make one even more attractive. This way, when you come back online, she is able to enjoy your company and even miss you when you're gone. This cannot be achieved by constant communication. Of course, wise men said that sometimes the most powerful message you can receive is a message that's not told. Therefore, believe in the process and do not interfere with the other person's space by forcing speech out of them. Please see the video now. I hope that this guide to Stoicism will improve your relationships in life at least.